Eva, come on. Why are your eyes full of tears again? What can we do if that's how fate works? I love you. After all, marriage is not only about children. Stephen comforted his weeping wife again and again. Eva remembered that happy day when she wore a beautiful white dress and Stephen wore an elegant suit. They swore to each other an eternal love and faithfulness. They thought then that it was a marriage for the rest of her life. Then everyone congratulated them, wishing them eternal love and many children. But for some reason, there was a problem with children. 2 years after the wedding, Eva got worried, went to the doctor with Stephen, and it turned out that she would never have children. Eva cried for a long time and called herself a worthless woman. Then one morning she got up with her eyes swollen with tears and said to her husband, "Stephen, we have to get a divorce." "What? Why?" wondered Stephen. "We've been doing fine so far." "I can't have children. You can meet another woman who can give you children," Eva said quietly. "Are you out of your mind? I don't need another woman. I love you. If you wish, we can adopt a child from the orphanage," Stephen said. "No, Stephen. A child from an orphanage is not our child. Do you understand? There won't be a part of you and me in an orphanage baby," Eva said sadly. "I understand. Then we will continue to live together, just you and me," answered Stephen, hugging his wife. Everything would be fine if Stephen's words were true. But gradually Eva felt that her husband was not telling her something. He was hiding something from her. Stephen had become thoughtful and introverted, and things had changed between them. It seemed to Eva that they were no longer so close, that she could no longer trust him. "Eva, come on, stop making up nonsense. Stephen loves you, and you shouldn't doubt your husband's faithfulness." Her sister, Melanie, tried to reassure her over the phone. "You don't understand. He comes home very late at night, but I can find an explanation for that. But what does he do on weekends and holidays?" answered Eva to her sister. "Well, maybe he leaves home because he can't see you crying all the time anymore. What's it like for him to stay home while you cry all the time? It's impossible," her sister said. "Melanie, you don't understand. I cry all the time because I feel that my husband is lying to me," said Eva, and hung up. Her heart felt very heavy, and she wondered, well, what did you expect, Eva? Sooner or later, Stephen will meet someone else who will give him a baby and leave for another woman anyway, Eva thought. Eva was still thinking a lot about the fact that all she could do now was wait. She felt that it was so humiliating, and that she should behave with dignity and not torment Stephen with her tears. In the evening, she greeted her husband with a smile and questions about the day. Stephen, who had long forgotten about his wife's smile, looked like was overjoyed and happily answered questions and smiled. Moreover, Eva cooked a delicious dinner. It was the first time in a while. A quiet, cozy family night. But Eva was in a good mood only until morning. At night, she had a dream about Stephen, walking proudly with a baby girl in his arms and holding the hand of some woman. She woke up crying again. "Eva, what happened again? Everything was wonderful yesterday." Stephen hugged her gently by the shoulders. "Stephen, I can't take it anymore. Let's get a divorce. I feel that you're not with me anymore. And sooner or later, you'll leave me anyway," she said to her husband. Stephen's hands shook. "Oh my goodness," he rolled his eyes. "That's impossible. That's it. I'm going fishing." "Fishing? Seriously, Stephen, what about me? You're not even trying to explain anything to me. Eva tried to stop her husband. I have nothing to explain to you. I love you, but my nerves are not made of steel, the husband said nervously. Stephen slammed the door loudly and got out. Eva watched as he tossed the rods into the back seat and drove away quickly. Eva stayed in bed all day, tormenting herself with painful thoughts. Stephen and some woman and a baby from the night's dream were still in front of her eyes. Actually, I can easily check whether he's really away on a fishing trip. He only went fishing in his native village. I will go to his mother's now and ask how often he visits her, and if he actually visits her, the woman thought. Eva quickly wiped away her tears. Packing for the sudden trip made her perk up. Her compact car was driving quietly down the road, and Eva dreamed of one thing: how she would find out the truth and expose this deceiver and look him in the eye. Yes, it will be hard. Maybe I'll have to file for divorce, but at least the painful doubt and humiliating lies will be over, she thought all the way. Finally, she reached the house. Her husband's car was standing at the gate of her mother-in-law's house. At least he didn't lie today, she thought with some relief. Her mother-in-law, Mrs. McLean, rushed out on the porch to meet her daughter-in-law. "Oh dear, I wasn't expecting you. Stephen didn't say anything," she said in a surprised voice. "Don't worry, Mrs. McLean. I just thought I'd spend Sunday with you," Eva answered. "That's great. I'm glad you came. Stephen comes here every weekend and you haven't been here in a long time." There was a slight reproach in her mother-in-law's voice. Eva was glad that she didn't even have to ask about the weekends. Mrs. McLean told her everything herself. "Well, where's Stephen now?" the woman asked. "He took Lily and went for a walk by the river," her mother-in-law told her shamelessly. It was beyond Eva's comprehension. She couldn't stand it any longer. Mrs. McLean used to treat her well, but now she supports this cheater? What a duplicitous, lying woman, Eva thought. "Well, I'll go to the river and find him there." Eva hurried to the river. "Wait, honey, he didn't go by himself. He'll be back for lunch." Her mother-in-law tried to stop her, but there was no chance in stopping her. She rushed to the river, almost running. Her heart was pounding and she was out of breath. But the thought that she had to stop this deception gave her strength. Before she even reached the river, Stephen was walking toward her, holding a little girl by the hand, just like in that dream. Except the woman wasn't there. Eva stood, waiting, looking at her husband as he approached. The deception was finally over. "Hello, Eva," her husband muttered in surprise. "Hello, Stephen. I felt like going fishing too, so I thought I'd come over." "And who is this girl?" Eva pointed to the little girl, hiding fearfully behind Stephen and looking at her. "That's my daughter, Lily. She's 5. Her mother died recently," the man said quietly. "Why didn't you tell me about it? Why did you hide it?" the woman asked. "I was afraid that I could lose you. At the same time, I couldn't abandon my daughter. I remembered your words when I told you about a baby from the orphanage," the man excused himself. "Well, Lily is not someone else's baby. She is your baby," Eva exclaimed. They went home in silence, thinking. They did not want to scare Lily, and this kind of talk is not for children's ears anyway. Stephen decided to talk to Eva only when a caring grandmother took the little girl away. "I only recently found out that I have a daughter. Before I met you, I had a short relationship with a woman, and after we broke up, no one told me about the baby. Melissa, Lily's mother, loved to party and drink. She died under some strange circumstances. And then her mother went to my mother and told her the whole story. I didn't believe her, so I took a DNA test. That's when I found out I have a daughter. What was I supposed to do? After all, I couldn't abandon her and place her in an orphanage. What orphanage are you talking about? She has a father. But it really hurts me that you didn't tell me about it before. Did you really think I wouldn't accept her? The wife asked. Eva, I'm sorry. I just didn't know how to tell you. I was in shock for a while. The man began to justify himself. You and your secrets almost ruined our whole life. I had a feeling you were hiding something from me. Let's adopt Lily. It's not easy for your mother to take care of a child, the woman suggested. They sat on the porch, hugging, till Mrs. McLean shouted out the window, Kids, are you going to have lunch or not? We're on our way, laughed Stephen, helping Eva up from the porch. Mrs. McLean, we've decided to adopt Lily, announced Eva to her mother-in-law at lunch. The woman wiped away a tear and said, Oh, thank goodness. Lily's a sweet, kind girl. My heart breaks when I think about how much she suffered with her good-for-nothing mother. I mean, she was always alone at home. No one took care of her. What about the grandparents? Melissa's parents? Eva asked. They had no time for the child, she answered. No one needed Lily. So, Lily, will you come with us? Eva asked the little girl when she woke up after her afternoon nap. Do you want to be my mother? The girl asked, looking trustingly into Eva's eyes. I do, Eva replied. The girl hugged her and whispered, Mommy, I'm going to be a good daughter, I promise. I will love you as much as I love Daddy. Eva couldn't answer anything. Tears rolled down her cheeks. Tenderness for the baby girl filled her soul.